Now, Trump, you would have been better off if he said the dog that didn't bite. That you would have had some deniability with the dog that didn't bite. He didn't say you didn't bite. He said you didn't bark. Shout out to all the subscribers and the members here on the channel. Don't forget to like the video. I am Reese Waters, and this is Street Politics. Now, there I was, hanging out outside Arby's trying to recruit Senate Democrat primary challengers when I see this. Bipartisan duo expects to secure signatures Wednesday to force a vote to release Epstein files. After weeks of long delays, Reps Thomas Massie and Ro Khanna on Wednesday are on the cusp of securing enough signatures to bypass GOP leaders and force a floor vote to compel the Justice Department to release all of the files in its investigation into Epstein. Rep. Adelita Grijalva of Arizona, who won the seat of her late father in a September special election, has vowed she'll be the 218th signature on Massie and Khanna's discharge petition after she's sworn into office around 4 p.m. on Wednesday. The number represents a simple majority of the entire 435-member House chamber. Under House rules, once a discharge petition hits that magic number of 218, the House must act on it, though 7 legislative days must pass before a vote can be called. Oh, that's right. Now that the government is open, we can finally swear in the representative who was elected 50 days ago. So finally, our national nightmare is over in that regard. And that certainly can't be good for Trump. Put one up for silver linings. Yeah, hey, all right, okay. All right, I see it. Coming back a little bit, coming back. But wait, there's more. Say what now? The development comes on the same day the Democrats on the House Oversight Committee released a new tranche of emails from Epstein to his associate Ghislaine Maxwell and a journalist, which were provided to the panel by the Epstein estate. Epstein says in one 2019 email that Trump, quote, knew about the girls. The email says that specifically. Oh, this done got good. Yeah, this done got. Hey, I think Donnie might have preferred the government closed. Yeah. This got a little bit of different energy than that whole Gatsby party, doesn't it?
Democrats on the House Oversight Committee, minutes ago, literally, releasing emails that they say were written by Jeffrey Epstein that explicitly, specifically mentioned Donald Trump by name and in context that we really haven't heard before. Let's get right to Caitlin Collins, who's got this reporting. Caitlin, what are you learning?
Yeah, John, these are emails that show Jeffrey Epstein mentioning Donald Trump by name multiple times in private correspondence that he had with people, including Ghislaine Maxwell, obviously his longtime associate and accomplice, and also the author Michael Wolff, in a time span of about the last 15 years.
Now, wait a minute. Michael Wolff, is that the same author who gave the interview saying that Epstein was just dropping photos of Trump's with girls on the table like a draw four in Uno?
In the course of one of these discussions about Trump, he left the room and then came back holding in his hands about a dozen Polaroid snapshots.
Oh, they're Polaroids.
And then he kind of like a deck of cards, kind of displayed them on the table. And there were specifically 3 that I remember, and this is now almost 10 years ago. So, but the 3 that I remember are 2 in which topless young women, and I don't know the ages of these women, but they are young, are sitting in Trump's lap.
That man threw down incriminating Polaroids on the table like he was playing spades in a 90s rap video.
Now, these are coming out from the House Oversight Committee. They had issued a bipartisan subpoena to Jeffrey Epstein's estate, John, as you know, earlier this year. And so they've gotten their hands on a trove of documents. And these are emails that included Jeffrey Epstein on them. They were sent either to him or from him that mention Donald Trump before he was in office and also while he was in office during his first term. And I want to walk you through these emails of what exactly we are reading in Jeffrey Epstein's own words in these emails that have been released by the House Oversight Committee. And in one of them, Jeffrey Epstein says, and I should note, Trump did not send or receive any of these messages. He's not a party to these emails, John, but these are emails from Jeffrey Epstein to Ghislaine Maxwell. This is one from April 2nd, 2011. And in this email, Jeffrey Epstein writes to Ghislaine Maxwell and says, quote, "I want you to realize that the dog that hasn't barked is Trump. There's a name that's redacted, which the House Oversight Committee has said is a victim of Jeffrey Epstein's. Obviously, we have not been able to independently confirm that because her name is redacted from this email. But they say redacted spent hours at my house with him. He has never once been mentioned, police chief, etc. I'm 75% there." Ghislaine Maxwell responds to that email, John, and says, quote, "I have been thinking about that."
You said he spent hours in the house? Trump. Hours in the house. Y'all was doing puzzles, shoots and ladders. Is that what y'all was doing? A little candy land. Is that what that was? Hours.
Come on now, dawg. Come on, man.
Now, excuse me, I may not be up on early 2010s Florida financier vernacular, but what does the dog that hasn't barked mean? I know the dog that doesn't bite, but the dog that hasn't barked. Now, Trump, you would have been better off if he said the dog that didn't bite. That you would have had some deniability with the dog that didn't bite. He didn't say you didn't bite. He said you didn't bark. You know? A whole lot less wiggle room. Oh, and look, I got this from AI. The dog that didn't bark is a phrase from a Sherlock Holmes story, Silver Blaze, referring to the absence of an expected clue being evidence in itself. In the story, a watchdog's silence during a crime implied the criminal was not a stranger to the dog, leading Holmes to the solution. Today, the phrase is used to mean that an event didn't happen, and the lack of that expected event can be a significant clue. So wait a minute. What you're telling me is that the fact that the victim was able to spend hours in the house with Trump is the clue.
This was a time span, and this was about 3 years after Jeffrey Epstein had accepted what is now known as that sweetheart deal that only got him a few months in prison, and something that came under a ton of scrutiny during Donald Trump's first term in office because of his then Labor Secretary Alex Acosta, who helped negotiate that plea deal, that sweetheart deal for Jeffrey Epstein at the time. And so that's the context of this came about 3 years after he had negotiated that plea deal.
Now, there definitely was that sweetheart deal that Jeffrey Epstein got under Trump's first term. What would be particularly incriminating is more leniency being given during his second term.
Democratic Congressman Jamie Raskin's demanding answers after he says a whistleblower reported Ghislaine Maxwell is receiving preferential treatment in prison. Maxwell serving a 20-year sentence for child and other crimes in connection with Jeffrey Epstein. The Bureau of Prisons transferred her to a minimum security prison after she met with the Deputy Attorney General. Now, according to Raskin, the whistleblower says she's getting what seems like concierge service. And Raskin's accusing the Trump administration of a corrupt misuse of law enforcement resources. ABC News Justice reporter Alex Mallon has the details. So, Alex, what kind of privileges is Maxwell allegedly getting here?
Top flight luxury service. He refers to various accounts from a whistleblower, he says, that has contacted him from within the FCP Bryan facility in Texas, where Ghislaine Maxwell was moved in July following her interview with Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche. And some of the, it's basically bullet point format of the allegations of the treatment that she's receiving extends to personal favors essentially handed by that warden in order for her to meet with her legal counsel, other visitors. There's another allegation that she was granted access to puppies who become service dogs that are provided to people at that facility. Another where she is allegedly granted special access to workout facilities and after hours so she won't have to interact with other inmates, and that she's receiving special deliveries of tailored meals to her cell, directly to her cell, from people. They've said that they've heard from at least one correctional officer within the facility in FCP Bryan that basically says, like, they are shocked.
So she out here in prison getting perks I can't afford on vacation? Is that what we doing? While we trying to withhold SNAP benefits, she getting whole concierge service? Hey, MAGA, yeah. I'm gonna need y'all to sort all of this out. You know, protecting the victims and looking out for the working man. Literally all of your virtues and ideals. Go ahead. The name is Maxwell.
I said, close them doors. Ushers, close the doors.
And I would especially like to call to the floor the law and order MAGAs. Why can't y'all just comply? The culture is rotten. The criminality inherent in the culture, especially the black MAGAs. Yes, especially y'all. This justice right here. Yeah. And by the way, I don't even need to go into old Trump pardons because there's always a new one.
And there's also other emails that have been released by the committee this morning, including between Jeffrey Epstein and Michael Wolff. People will remember Michael Wolff, of course, the author who wrote a book on the inner workings of Trump's West Wing back in 2018 during his first term. He is someone who has talked at length about his own correspondence with Jeffrey Epstein, published audio recordings of those conversations between the two of them. And in another email, and this seems to be a reference to Donald Trump saying that he kicked Jeffrey Epstein out of his Mar-a-Lago club. And Jeffrey Epstein writes to Michael Wolff and says, quote, Trump said he asked me to resign. And he adds, John, never a member ever. Of course, he knew about the girls as he asked Ghislaine to stop.
He just came out and said he of course he knew about the girls. Wow. And Trump actually references the fact that he kicked Epstein out of the club, knowing that this was out there. That's the mastermind that we have elected.
This is, Ken, the story that Donald Trump just wants to go away. And he's done a pretty good job, I guess, of telling MAGA influencers, hey, stop talking about this. He kind of quelled that rebellion that we saw over the summer. There's a real belief that Speaker Johnson sent the House home when he did, in part to not talk about Epstein and not swear in that Arizona Congresswoman-elect who is going to provide the decisive vote. So a couple of things here. I know you're still going through the emails, but this is, and we expect Johnson to do that swearing in later today. There's going to be more to come, right? And we should note Trump has long since challenged the credibility of Michael Wolff on other matters, but we'll see. He's getting these emails from Epstein, too. What else should we expect, not just potentially from these emails, but from what new material may still be coming?
Now, it was just a few days ago, with respect to the last Epstein reveal, that I posed a question to GOP representatives. What is it exactly that you need to see? And now, MAGA, I'm going to ask you the same.
Well, look, I mean, there's got to be more information that sheds light on Donald Trump's longtime relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. Whether it's incriminating to Donald Trump remains to be seen, but it's got to be there in those emails and elsewhere in the files. And in fact, we know that Trump was told that his name was in the quote unquote Epstein files, the unreleased information from the Justice Department. Again, we've always been told that There's nothing in that material that incriminates others to the point where they should have been charged. That's what investigators have always said, long before this became an issue of controversy. But you're absolutely right. As a political matter, it's just so interesting because the MAGA world has long believed that there's a conspiracy to cover up what happened with Jeffrey Epstein. Well, now the people who have control of the material is the Trump administration. And so, but yet the MAGA folks have not turned their fire on Donald Trump personally. They've been very mad at Pam Bondi and Kash Patel, the FBI director, for what they consider, inaction in not releasing these files. And so far, the Justice Department's position is we're not releasing anything more. But this, as you said, this is a live political issue. The interesting question is going to be, do these emails or does other information cause anyone in the MAGA movement to start turning their attention to Donald Trump and asking him what he's hiding and whether more information should be released, Jonathan?
So if I got this straight, MAGA, your position is that Pam Bondi and Kash Patel are going against Trump's wishes for full transparency in releasing the Epstein files that would exonerate him, despite all of the things that we have seen. They were going to exonerate him, and they're not releasing the information that would exonerate him. Is that your position? And of course, naturally, if you want a full release of the Epstein files, you would, of course, be encouraging and very sensitive to the victims, right?
Yeah, I think that it's really interesting that these have come out this morning. I think that we have long established that Trump and Epstein had a close friendship, but now we're seeing kind of a deeper dive into what that might have looked like. And I think that it's important for us to remember that there were many high-profile men that were friends with Epstein. And I anticipate that, we might see more information coming out also about them.
It's still a little unclear what some of these emails mean. Epstein, again, writing in 2011 to Maxwell, quote, "I want you to realize that dog that hasn't barked is Trump." And then Epstein refers to a victim that, quote, "spent hours at my house with him." In a separate email with author Michael Wolff in 2019, Epstein tells Wolff that Donald Trump, quote, "explicitly knew about the girls as he asked Ghislaine to stop." Is this new information to you?
I don't think it's new information to any of us. I think that we have already seen that he may have had an idea of what Epstein was up to based on things that have already been released. His addition to the birthday book was telling.
Oh, that's right. There was the birthday book, which shook Trump to his core to such a degree that he sued the Wall Street Journal. Yes, I remember that, where he went to the excuse of saying, "Oh, I don't even do drawings. You know what? I can't use my hand. I can't even do that. I can't write at all. I use auto pen." Oh, wait, that's going to be a problem with Biden now, isn't it?
It strikes me as odd that this was a campaign promise of the president, and he has backpedaled on that. And so that's really concerning to me, and it's concerning to all of the survivors. We are victims of a crime, and the crime was sex trafficking, and we just want this crime to be prosecuted in a manner that we deserve. By our government's own admission, this is a crime that victimized over 1,000 girls and young women. And I just don't understand, I don't understand how we can let this go on. And I think this is an issue that has been highly politicized when it's not a political issue whatsoever. Again, this is a crime. It's a crime of trafficking, and this case has been ongoing for over 5 administrations. And so to politicize it at this moment feels particularly hurtful to the survivors of this crime.
Now, the one thing I can tell you, MAGA, the one thing to look for is Ghislaine Maxwell, the only person that has faced any justice for all of this, while she's enjoying her concierge service by the pool. If at this particular point, she decides that even that isn't cushy enough and asks for a commutation, well, why would she ask for a thing like that unless she had cards to play against the administration? So if you see that,
convicted accomplice of Jeffrey Epstein, apparently asking for leniency from the White House, meaning there's going to be a big will he or won't he moment brewing for President Trump, who's been on a kind of pardon binge lately. Here's the deal. House Democrats say documents from a whistleblower show this woman, Ghislaine Maxwell, is in the process of seeking a commutation from the White House. Remember, she's serving 20 years for trafficking minors alongside Epstein and was moved to that lower security prison camp not long after meeting with a top DOJ official to talk about the Epstein case. She says she's much happier there, according to recent emails obtained by NBC News. The White House tonight says the president hasn't thought about pardoning Maxwell, but he certainly has not ruled it out yet, despite growing anger and frustration from Epstein survivors, including the family members of Virginia Giuffre, Epstein and Maxwell's most prominent accuser, who died by earlier this year. I spoke with her siblings about the president so far refusing to rule out a Maxwell pardon. And when you heard the president say that again, even after your very public calls for him, all but begging him to rule out a pardon for Maxwell, what goes through your mind?
What goes through his mind, I ask myself, that would give him any doubt to rule out a pardon?
The president has had other pardons on the mind, clearly. Earlier today, giving clemency to Rudy Giuliani and, look at this, dozens of other allies who were accused of trying to overturn the legitimate 2020 election.
So the situation that we seem to have here is any further leniency. Now, granted, I think that the leniency she's been granted already is indicting, using normal sense and logic, right? But certainly, now that we've already gone to this point of her in a camp after meeting with the administration, because that's not incriminating at all. Certainly any further leniency that would be given would be seen as an indictment of guilt. But then again, if it's refused, you run the risk of her deciding to use whatever information she might have. That's a rough spot to be in. That is a rough spot to be in. Certainly not as rough as the victims that have never gotten any justice, which is where our minds should be, and yours too, MAGA. But the one thing I can tell you, Trump, is they on your helmet. And they gonna stay on your helmet.
We actually just received all of these emails, a total of about 23,000 documents, actually a few days ago, so last week, and we've been going through, our team, of course, through all of these very carefully over the last few days. We obviously released some today. We'll be releasing additional documents likely later today. The important thing here is that we know, and we've been demanding, that Donald Trump and the DOJ release the full Epstein files. In what's been released today, which obviously is some quite serious, I think, connections between what Donald Trump may have known. There's communication between Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, obviously making some claims about Donald Trump spending significant time, hours, with possibly one of the victims. There's also disturbing emails there about Trump and Jeffrey Epstein that people can read for themselves. I think what's important right now is that we want to know why Donald Trump spent the entire campaign saying that he would release the files. And now that he's in the White House, there is a massive cover-up going on. The survivors deserve the truth.
Now, the only question that is left is who else will be incriminated by all of this? And yes, that might mean other people that were involved with Jeffrey Epstein, but it would also mean other people involved with obscuring the truth. The fact that it took months for us to get to this point. And I did see in that article where it said that Republicans in the Senate might block the full release of the Epstein files, which of course would have them sign up for the Summer Jam screen and being a part of all of this. But we've already seen how slow Mike Johnson was to swear in Adelita Grijalva, and we saw Pam Bondi's performance in front of Congress. This list is just growing.
Did the president ever spend hours at Jeffrey Epstein's house with a victim?
These emails prove absolutely nothing other than the fact that President Trump did nothing wrong. And what President Trump has always said is that he was from Palm Beach, and so was Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein was a member at Mar-a-Lago until President Trump kicked him out.
But wait, there's more.
In transparency, Caroline, why are White House officials then meeting with Representative Boebert in an effort to try and get her to not sign this petition calling for the release of the files?
Doesn't it show transparency that members of the Trump administration are willing to brief members of Congress whenever they please? Doesn't that show our level of transparency? Doesn't that show the level of transparency when we are willing to sit down with members of Congress and address their concerns? That is that's a defining factor of transparency, having discussions with members of Congress about various issues. And I'm not going to detail conversations that took place in the Situation Room, in the press briefing room.
Oh, Caroline Levitt want to come on there? Okay, that's fine. I got no objection to that. No, it's a lot of room left. Hey, thank you guys so much for watching the video. Y'all still booing Trump? It's been days. No, you good, but just quiet down. I'm trying to make some content over here. I gotta give a quick shout out to my editors that have been absolutely killing it. My man Denzel, as well as Boz, who's been coming through crucial. However, they could use some help.
Help me! Help me!
You know, some reinforcements, a day off every now and again.
I'm so tired, but also hungry.
I should probably feed them and get them some fresh air every now and again. That probably would be good. I know it's been a while since I solicited for help, but I might be reaching out to some of you guys. So if you get an email like weeks after you reached out to me, don't be alarmed. And of course, if you have a particular set of skills and would like to join the team, hit me up at admin@reesewaters.com. Speaking of joining the team, congratulations to all of our members. We just recently hit 3,000. And you know what that means? No, not like the movie Mr. 3000. Although I will take Bernie Mac's career arc though. I will take that. No, it means a members live. Y'all remember how crazy it got last time.
Nasty bitch.
So be on the lookout for notifications for that, as well as discounts on merch. And yes, we got some new stuff out there. Is that a Kamala was right and a release the files? Oh, it's going to be FAFO when I hit the streets in this. I'ma kill them this wintertime. Speaking of merch, no, I'm getting to you, Lee. I'm getting to you, Lee. I received this email from my man, Lee, who said, discouraged, depleted, can't find merch to meet it. Hey, Reese team, I woke up this morning ready to bless my closet with some Reese Waters gear, had my card out, playlist on, and my confidence high. I hit the site and got hyped to see those dope t-shirts and hoodies. That North Carolina blue RWT fire, the black discouraged, depleted, but never defeated shirt. Instant classic. Now, the racism shirt, man, that segment alone deserves its own museum wing. Though Who Raised Y'all, which needs its own shirt, might be tied for first. But here's my problem. None, and I mean none of the shirts or hoodies come in 3XL. That's a personal attack on my confidence and my brisket intake. I'm a proud black man living in Arkansas, so you already know the struggle and the appetite. Can the 3XL brethren get some love too? I'm speaking on behalf of the discouraged, depleted, but never defeated, but definitely well-fed sized members of the channel. As somebody who used to always ask the clerks at Marshall's if this shirt came in bird chest, I know exactly what you mean, and that is something we will absolutely work on. Thank you so much for reaching out. You can always hit me up at admin@reesewaters.com. I'm going to be hitting you guys up for some year-end awards. More on that a little bit later, but as well as a Thanksgiving video, which I would like your input on as well. So check out the polls. You can catch them in the community tab, also via email. Is there any room left in the booing? Y'all got space? Upper deck? I'll take it. I'll take it. I'll be back. Boo! I ain't been this proud of DC since we won the Stanley Cup.